The medical insurance plan that begins at the age of 60. Medi60 from Sri Lanka Insurance. Call 0112 357 357.
In a few moments, the news.
Sri Lanka Insurance, like a father, like a mother.
This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
Precisely 6:45. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. News edited by Danushka Madhavala and read by Sharifa Tahir. Headlines. A special debate in Parliament about the present situation will be held today and tomorrow. The Defence Secretary has called on the public to refrain from engaging in violence during the public protests. Sri Lanka temporarily closes 2 embassies in Norway and Iraq and a consulate in Australia. Dr. Nandalal Veerasinghe appointed as the Governor of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka Bar Association condemns violence during public protests. News overseas, UK, US and Australia to boost defence cooperation over hypersonic missiles. Sports, Tiger Woods set to play Masters at Augusta National. And we move on to local news in detail now. MP Prasanna Ranatunga says that a decision was taken to conduct a special debate in Parliament today and tomorrow. It has been agreed during the party leaders' meeting in Parliament. Discussions have taken place on solving the present situation during the meeting. A final decision is to be taken after the debate in Parliament. Defence Secretary retired General Kamal Gunaratne has called on the public to refrain from engaging in violence during the public protests being carried out across the country. In a special statement, the Defence Secretary said that it has been observed that 2 groups are active in this regard. One group is conducting peaceful protest and they disperse peacefully, while the other group is deliberately engaging in violent protests in an organised manner, he pointed out. The Defence Secretary assured that the security forces will act to maintain peace. He said, however, that the security forces will not hesitate to enforce the law against those involved in violence during the protests. Following a recent discussion and decision by the Cabinet of Ministers, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs has initiated action to temporarily close down 2 embassies and a consulate. The Foreign Ministry said in a statement that Sri Lankan Embassy in Oslo, the Kingdom of Norway, the Sri Lanka Embassy in Baghdad, the Republic of Iraq and the Sri Lanka Consulate General in Sydney, the Commonwealth of Australia, will be closed with effect from the 30th of April 2022. The decision with regard to the temporary closure of the 2 missions and posts was taken by the Government of Sri Lanka following careful deliberation, the ministry said. It is part of a general restructuring of Sri Lanka's diplomatic representation overseas undertaken by the Foreign Ministry in the context of the current economic situation and foreign currency constraints faced by the country. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation giving you the news.
The medical insurance plan that begins at the age of 60. Medi60 from Sri Lanka Insurance.
Continuing with more stories here at home, former Senior Deputy Governor of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, Dr. Nandalal Veerasinghe, is set to take over as the new Governor of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, BBC News reports. Speaking to the BBC, Dr. Veerasinghe has stated that he was invited to accept the post and that he agreed to it. Accordingly, Dr. Nandalal Veerasinghe is scheduled to assume duties on Thursday. The Central Bank of Sri Lanka has not yet made an official announcement on Dr. Veerasinghe's appointment. A spokesman for the bank told the BBC that it is waiting for confirmation from the President. The Bar Association of Sri Lanka has condemned the violence that has been reported during the public protests, damaging private and public property. Issuing a statement, the Bar Association said some recent protests have led to violence, with protesters targeting private property and causing destruction. The Bar Association said such conduct is criminal and can lead to those participating in such protests being charged in courts of law. The Bar Association unequivocally condemned such criminal acts and called upon authorities to take necessary action according to law, whilst safeguarding the rights of those who protest peacefully. The Bar Association pointed out that if a peaceful protest becomes violent, that will only dilute the objective and purpose of a peaceful expression of dissent and strengthen the hands of those who seek to suppress legitimate dissent. That's local news for the moment.
The medical insurance plan that begins at the age of 60. Medi60 from Sri Lanka Insurance. A health insurance plan to honor our most valued elders by the protectors of the nation. We now give our treasured senior citizens access to the very best medical insurance, specially tailored for anyone over 60. What's more, you don't need medical screening to access this policy. And Medi60 covers a wide range of illnesses. Only from Sri Lanka Insurance. Call 0112 357 357.
And on the main news story, Parliament proceedings will recommence today at 10 a.m. Speaker Mahinda Abeyewardene informed it to the Parliament. Thereafter, party leaders' meeting in Parliament will be held. Minister Dinesh Gunawardena said in Parliament that the President appointed some ministers to continuously maintain parliamentary activities. He said that the President has invited all political parties to join to solve prevailing problems. The government has not ignored problems of the people and taken measures to minimize hardships. He said that an all-party conference was also called in this regard. Opposition leader Sajid Premadasa said that everyone should understand the voice of the people. Solutions should be found to their problems. There is no end to various queues. He said that the executive presidential system should be abolished. MP Anura Kumara Dissanayake said that the country is at a decisive moment. The country is facing economic and political crisis. As a result, he said that the people's pressure has exploded. MP Chandima Veerakodi said that the people do not believe solutions will be given to their problems. Venerable Athurali Ratanathera said that the Speaker is entrusted with a huge responsibility at present. He said that solutions should be found through a meeting of party leaders by listening to the people's voice. That's the main news story.
Watch Life is brought to you by
More prizes, more gains with CIB New Year offers. Valuable gifts for every bill. 20% discount for bank cards until 10th of April. Visit CIB today.
The International Monetary Fund said today that it is monitoring political and economic developments in Sri Lanka very closely. IMF Sri Lanka Mission Chief Masahiro Nozaki told Reuters in an email statement IMF staff is looking forward to program discussions with the authorities.
More prizes, more gains with CIB New Year offers. Valuable gifts for every bill. 20% discount for bank cards until 10th of April. Visit CIB today.
World News, brought to you by courtesy of
No matter what anyone says, for your lease, visit the Leasing Mahagedara. People's Leasing, Friendly Leasing Mahagedara. More information from the nearest People's Leasing branch.
People's Leasing, the trusted leader.
World News headlines: UK, US and Australia to boost defence cooperation over hypersonic missiles. Shanghai COVID lockdown extended to entire city. North Korea warns South of nuclear retaliation. World News in detail. The UK, US and Australia will begin cooperating on research into hypersonic weapons and how to defend against them, the government has said. The program will be part of the AUKUS partnership, a security pact announced by the three countries last year. It follows the development of hypersonic missiles by China and Russia and their preparatory use by Russia and Ukraine last month. Hypersonic weapons are those that exceed 5 times the speed of sound. They are harder to defend against because of their speed as well as the fact that they fly at low altitudes beyond the line of sight and of ground-based radars and can maneuver mid-flight. The UK does not currently possess hypersonic missiles. Chinese authorities have extended their lockdown of Shanghai to cover all its 25 million people after a fresh surge in COVID cases. Initially, there had been separate measures for the eastern and western sides, but the whole city is now subject to indefinite restrictions. Shanghai is the largest single city to be locked down to date. The important financial hub has battled a new wave of coronavirus infections for more than a month. Reported cases have risen to more than 13,000 a day, although the numbers are not high by some international standards. Finally on world news, the sister of North Korean leader Kim Jong-un says Pyongyang would retaliate with nuclear strikes if South Korea launched a preemptive attack. Kim Yo-jong, a senior official, has issued 2 statements responding to remarks from South Korean officials. South Korean Defense Minister Seo Wook has said the South was able to strike the North's missile launch points, sparking the furious reaction. North Korea has tested several missiles this year, heightening tensions. That's on World News.
World News. Brought to you by courtesy of...
For your wheel lease, visit the Leasing Mahagedara. People's Leasing, friendly leasing Mahagedara. More information from the nearest People's Leasing branch.
People's Leasing, the trusted leader.
Development News is brought to you by... Let's take all out of the coconut tree and make the island thriving and prosperous. Call our hotline 1928. WhatsApp 070 400 1928.
And on development news, South Korea doubles employment quota for Sri Lankan migrant workers. This was revealed by Minister for Government Policy Coordination of the Republic of Korea, Koo Yoon-chol, who is on an official visit to Sri Lanka when he called on the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Professor Jill Peiris, on Friday. The meeting was followed by a luncheon where the two sides discussed the entire gamut of bilateral relations and explored ways to further strengthen the close and friendly ties between Korea and Sri Lanka.
Development News was brought to you by... The coconut tree is well grown in almost all the parts of the island. It is an exceptional source of extra income. The shell, the husk and almost all the parts of the coconut tree makes you money, providing you with an excellent extra source of income. It will also help to nourish the economy of the country. You will be guided with all necessary informations regarding the coconut cultivation, with the novel cultivation techniques and all other related and upgraded informations by the Coconut Research Institute, Lunavilla. Call our hotline 1928. WhatsApp 070 400 1928.
Sports News is brought to you by
Sampath Bank, we present your future.
On sports news, soccer, Kevin De Bruyne's second half goal gave Manchester City victory as they overcame Atletico Madrid's typically fierce resistance in their Champions League quarter-final first leg at Etihad Stadium. Diego Simeone's side performed with their trademark defensive discipline, restricting City to a few opportunities until De Bruyne pounced to make the breakthrough with 20 minutes left. Phil Foden, on as a substitute, produced the moment of magic to unlock Atletico with a perfect pass through the legs of Reinildo for De Bruyne to slot past goalkeeper Jan Oblak. And that's on soccer stories. Moving on to some golf news. 5-time champion Tiger Woods is planning to play in this week's Masters just 14 months after suffering life-threatening injuries in a car crash. Woods will play 9 holes on Wednesday before confirming the decision.
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSB You Trust.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
And on business news, the Commercial Bank of Ceylon has announced that all customers who open new Arunalu Children's Savings Accounts or ISRU Minors Savings Plans in April and May will be rewarded with a gift, adding further value to the benefits the account holders will enjoy during and beyond their childhood. The promotion for the bank's popular children's accounts is intended to generate fresh interest in these savings options and to encourage parents to save for a better future for their offspring, the bank said.
Business News, sponsored by
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. Will you be the lucky winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee? 50 gold sovereigns for the top prize winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee. Scooters for the 10 second prize winners. iPhones for the 10 third prize winners. Mountain bikes for the 29 fourth prize winners. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSB U Trust.
And on economic news, the Ankotua Porcelain was recognized as a best workplace in manufacturing and production industry in Sri Lanka by the independent analysts at Great Place to Work in Sri Lanka. The company earned this credential based on extensive ratings provided by its employees in an anonymous survey conducted by Great Place to Work in Sri Lanka during 2021-2022. That's on economic news, and moving on to the weather update. Showers or thunder showers will occur at several places over most parts of the island during the evening or night. Heavy showers above 100 millimeters can be expected at some places in central Sabaragamuwa, southern, western, Uva and north central provinces and in the Ampara district. On the apparent northward relative motion of the sun, it is going to be directly over the latitudes of Sri Lanka from the 5th to the 15th of April this year. The nearest areas of Sri Lanka over which the sun is overhead today are Valipanna, Moragala, Vattagala, Tolekanda, Pallebadda, Anganukula Palasa and Mahirava at about 12:13 noon. That's the weather update, and before we wind up this bulletin of news, back to the headlines. A special debate in Parliament about the present situation will be held today and tomorrow. The Defence Secretary has called on the public to refrain from engaging in violence during the public protests. Sri Lanka temporarily closes to embassies in Norway and Iraq and a consulate in Australia. Dr. Nandalal Veerasinghe appointed as the Governor of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka Bar Association condemns the violence during public protests. UK, US and Australia to boost defence cooperation over hypersonic missiles. And on sports news, Tiger Woods set to play Masters at Augusta National. And with that, we conclude the morning bulletin of news, and it's back to Viana this morning to give us some good company. Over to you.